Howdy, y'all. My name's Meg. I'm 20 years old, and I'm here to warn all y'all bullies out there that you ought not to be messing with nobody. Because if any of us muscle ladies on the block find out about it, y'all gonna have to answer to us. You wouldn't have recognized me when I first moved out here to the big city. I was just a scrawny gal without a lick of sense. My first friend here was this real pretty socialite gal named Isabella, who got me on the cheer squad and introduced me to my soon-to-be boyfriend, Ned. He was cute and ambitious and wanted to be some kind of newspaper man, so he was studying journalism. This is what Isabella told me, and she suggested I sign up for some of the same classes if I wanted to get my hooks into them. I joined this news writing lab that ended up being more of a job than a class. Ned was always eager to go out and write about a story, and I usually volunteered for the same events. This one afternoon, I was supposed to meet Ned to cover some kind of football tryouts or something, but I fell asleep in my dorm room and almost missed it. I rushed to the arena and I came across these bullies pushing some poor dude around. I wanted to stop them, but these bullies just laughed at me and pushed the kid inside. I felt useless, and I had to run lickety-split all the way around the arena to get inside. I met Ned, who had almost finished his report, but then I saw those bullies at it again. It didn't last long, because some muscle girl that looked like she came out of a comic book or something stopped them. I grabbed Ned's camera and took as many pictures as I could. I was fascinated by this girl. I learned her name was Becky, and she was the first girl to join this hockey team. Ned took me out to dinner afterwards, and he said we made a great team, and he thought I should do a follow-up on that muscle girl. I found out Becky lived only a few floors above me. I waited outside her dorm room one night and asked if she'd let me interview her. Becky told me that she wasn't always a muscle girl, but recently she found that she had a great strength hidden inside her. She talked like she had some kind of secret to keep. She believed in justice and wasn't afraid of anybody. I admired her power. I wrote all about her, and they even published my article on her a few days later, and we grew to be friends. Becky was as brave as she was strong, and I secretly wanted to be like her. I imagined myself growing muscles and lifting huge weights, but I knew my muscled body would kill my social life. Isabella would have something snotty to say about it, and I even worried about Ned. Would he still be interested in me if I had giant man thighs? I missed this party that Isabella wanted her whole crew to attend, and nobody on the team would talk to me after that. At practice, Isabella accused me of not being grateful enough to her and said I was a part of her crew and I better get myself in check. I tried to explain that I was busy with a class, but she didn't seem to think that was much of an excuse. Then Isabella threatened me about Ned. Maybe he'd be more interested in a girl like me, she said, and I knew what she was trying to do. I couldn't believe what a terrible friend she was being. The more I let myself get stirred up over it, the more I remembered all the times that Isabella was cruel to others, and how controlling she was. In fact, she was kind of a bully to the cheerleaders and would turn people against each other just for the sake of drama. I was kind of mad at myself for not speaking up to her earlier. But now, I didn't care what she or her flying monkeys thought about me, and I quit the cheer squad, which made Isabella even angrier, and she said she was going to make me regret it. I hung out with Becky more, and I asked her if she could get me in her kind of shape. I said that I wanted huge muscles like hers. At first, she was hesitant, telling me that I didn't want to be like her, but I did. I told her how much I admired her. I asked her for her secrets, and she said she wouldn't tell me any, but she would train my body to gain huge muscle growth. I thanked her, and she made me count off push-ups for her while she lectured me about how weight training wasn't for wimps, and she'd have to toughen me up. My arms were jelly after the push-ups, and every day was a new challenge. My diet and routine changed enormously. I was at the gym any chance I could get, and training got intense. I never had a fire burn so hot under my belly like that before, and I commanded my body to be strong. If I wasn't working out, I was with Ned. One time he put his arm around me, and he was shocked at how big my muscles were. I worried that maybe Ned didn't like my new body. And Isabella found me on campus one otherwise lovely afternoon to rub it in. She told me that she heard that Ned told everybody that kissing me was like kissing Arnold Schwarzenegger in a wig. I was so hurt that I couldn't think straight. I'd really grown to care for Ned, and I couldn't believe that he'd talk that way. But when I confronted him, he said that Isabella was lying. He said he liked my muscles. He also said that Isabella's muscle boyfriends had been pushing him around and giving him a hard time about dating me. He'd been assigned to cover the football games, and after every game, those bullies would corner him and push him around. He'd even collected a few bruises over it. I confronted Isabella and told her that I was going to mess up her pretty face if she didn't back off. I lifted her off the ground to show her how strong I was. But just then, I noticed her whole crew of muscle boys and bratty girls surrounded me. Before I could think, somebody put a trash can over my head. And I could hear those muscle boys laughing as they rolled me down the hill. I felt awful and even considered moving back to Sticksville. I was cursing my bad luck and sulking around like my life was over. But then Becky gave me an idea. She told me that it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. She was right. There's always a way out. I think I was afraid of my own big muscled shadow. Because I spent months bulking up, but then when it came time to use them big old muscles, I didn't do squat. Becky helped me put my problem into perspective. I needed to take action, and it was time to light a match. I could stand up to these bullies, but I might get in big trouble with the school. So I decided that if I was going to be a crusader, I might need to wear a cape. The next time Ned covered a football game, I borrowed Becky's hockey mask, and I suited up for some muscle justice. Becky joined me, and we became a dynamic duo, calling ourselves the Muscle Ladies. I noticed something in her room. Becky had this case that was filled with syringes with some kind of bright blue liquid, and I started to think it was her secret. But I didn't figure it all out until later that night. Ned didn't know a thing, but I was waiting in the shadows to see if anything happened. By the time the stadium cleared after the game and Ned was finishing his report, Isabella and her crew cornered him again. But the minute I stepped out of the shadows, they stopped. "Pick on someone your own size," I said, but they laughed and said I sounded like a girl. "Maybe I am a girl," I said. "A girl that's gonna eat your lunch." Ned snapped a few pictures, Isabella screamed curses, and I battled those muscle guys. I took down the biggest one, but they started to overpower me, and I began to worry that our muscle justice would fail. But just as they were laughing like hyenas, Becky appeared out of nowhere, disguised in her hockey uniform. The guys turned to her. She let out a roar like a soldier banshee. And when she flexed, her muscles ripped through her disguise. Her veins pulsed with that bright blue color. And I was reminded of the syringes I found in her room. I had found her secret, and I watched it in action. Becky turned those muscle guys into rag dolls. She tossed them all over the parking lot and wrestled them into submission. She used the laces from her skates to tie them. Isabella tried to escape, but I said that she ought to stay close by her crew, while Ned made a report to campus security. Becky and I told the bullies if they ever messed with anybody on this campus ever again, we would find them. I walked away feeling stronger inside and outside, but I still wondered about those blue syringes and whether or not I should try for extreme muscle growth. Ned saw my eyes under the mask, and he told me I was his hero. He peeled the helmet from my head and kissed me passionately. Bullying is a big problem, and it creates a cloud of darkness everywhere it goes. But I learned a terribly important lesson over the course of my muscle growth. You can curse the darkness, or you can light a candle and chase it away. A problem is a problem until you find a solution. So don't give up out there and make sure to fight for what's right. That's what real muscle justice is all about. So if you're a bully, you better hide, because our lady muscles are coming after you. How do you solve your problems? Tell us about it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Hidden Wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.